can't call them the Patriots. Just call them New York team or something. New York.
What I do is keep on calling them Spartans. Graduated.
That's dope, man. Can't beat that. Can't beat that dope.
Well, the MLS problem is that they never collect their money. They put people on schedule, don't collect.
Yo, bro, stand on the other side. Just you gonna flow? Come on. There you go. Get it higher. Get it higher. Get it higher. There you go. There you go. Yeah, flow.
See how it's going? It's like this. And it's coming down.
Football League, David Patterson here. We are here, if you haven't noticed in the background, at Kennedy campus. Here with Coach Tieri. Thank you for joining us today. Have a bunch of questions for you, trying to figure out what's going on for Kennedy's 2017 campaign. First thing is off-season. Well, in Kennedy land, we don't know. We know that it's not off-season really ever. It's always preseason.
Yeah.
What's going on now with you guys in terms of preparation?
Well, I mean, I really have a lot of confidence in our strength and conditioning team here at Kennedy. You know, like you said, the off season, there is no off season. It's like as if the season never ends. So, you know, we have Coach Grippo, Coach Nelson, Coach Davis, all there in the weight room, planning our strength and conditioning program. You know, doing a lot of dynamic lifts, Olympic-style lifts. Really working on becoming more explosive, doing speed training, conditioning training, the whole combination of everything to try to, you know, enhance our performance and really compete, get the most out of our athletes.
Awesome. Now, a lot of our PFL alumni are now on Kennedy's team and in Kennedy's schools. Can you just give us kind of a brief rundown of the schools here at Kennedy campus?
Yeah, the schools that we have here at the campus, we have Marble Hill, Bronx Theater, Bronx Law and Finance, Humanities, AMS, so the two charter schools, Bronx Engineering and Technology Academy, and Ellis Preparatory School.
Nice.
So several different schools and lots of choices here at the campus.
Beautiful. And for incoming, let's say freshmen coming in, what would be, you know, let's say the top 3 things that I need to know in order to get myself ready to play Kennedy football and join the tradition?
Well, I mean, honestly, first of all, academics are number one. We really stress as far as, you know, your performance in the classroom, the way that you conduct yourself in the classroom is going to be a reflection of who you are on the field. If you're committed to your schoolwork, if you conduct yourself like an adult in the classroom, handle your responsibilities in the classroom, then you're going to show the dedication and the work ethic necessary to be successful here in this program. You know, obviously we pride ourselves in our tradition in the fact that we have 5 city championships under our belt. We are actually the only team in the Bronx to have ever won a championship. So, you know, when you come here, you're part of that mystique. You know, we talk about, you know, the Miami universities, these schools, the Alabamas in college, that have this prestige and tradition that you don't alter, that you don't change, that you have to ultimately respect. And, you know, our incoming freshmen that come here, they understand right from the jump what the precedence is and what, you know, the tradition that they're following and the footsteps that they're going to follow in, and what the expectation ultimately is.
Awesome.
Across the board. Yeah.
Indeed. Last year, what were some of your challenges that you are learning, you learned from, that you are looking forward to moving on and getting better this upcoming season?
That's a great question. I mean, you know, last year obviously was my first year as a head coach. It was definitely a learning experience. We learned a lot as the season went on. You know, kind of got off to a little bit of a slow start, and then you saw as the season progressed, we really got comfortable and hit our stride. I think there was a lot to be learned as far as just the week to week grind and preparation. To be honest with you, we've been at this for a very long time. This was my 13th year as a coach, as a high school football coach. So I've already, I learned a lot, obviously working under Landsberg, as far as how to run a program, how to, manage the day-to-day and the grind throughout the course of the season. So really it was just the ups and downs, more of the off-season leading up to the actual season with, making sure that we have our field available, a lot of the kind of miscellaneous things that you don't necessarily account for that go beyond the X's and O's that you have to be responsible for and make sure that, are being executed so that the program as a whole runs smoothly. That to me was the biggest learning curve for the season.
Now, we know that all the Bronx teams are kind of stepping up their game. They have flashy uniforms, a bunch of different things going on. What sets Kennedy still apart from those other programs in terms of, what my favorite is? I'm a big fan of Friday Night Lights. That's like my big thing. Yeah. Talk a little bit about that and how that gives you an advantage when it comes to your home field and just the mantra that is Kennedy.
Well, I always say, I think we have one of the most beautiful facilities, not only in the borough, not only in the Bronx, but in the entire city. We are one of the few fields that have lights, that do play on Friday nights. It's obviously that's what high school football is all about. Friday night lights, being in the spotlight, playing in front of large crowds, definitely an amenity. And then the fact that it's a strategic advantage for us. The fact that if you look at our schedule, having teams from Staten Island, having teams from Brooklyn have to come in and play us on a Friday night, trekking across the city and having to endure that and then suit up and play us, is a huge advantage for us. The field itself is beautiful. You look at the way the end zone's painted, the center logo. It looks a lot like a collegiate stadium, and we're very, very proud of our facilities here.
Awesome. Now let's get to the X's and O's end of that. What unit was your hallmark unit, the one that really identified the identity of Kennedy football last year? And is it the same unit this year?
Well, it's interesting to say that. I think we tried to get back to the roots of what Kennedy football is about, as far as playing more of a smash mouth brand of football. The Bronx was always known as being, kind of, one of the toughest boroughs and really setting the tone with offense and defense in the way that they played. Defensively, we were really an attack defense, very aggressive, kind of went back to that 50 scheme, that identity of the old Kennedy teams. Offensively, we got back under center. It became a pretty significant part of our offense. But this year I think we have a little bit of a different dynamic with Chisholm and PJ graduating and moving on. We have our identity this year is probably going to be a little bit more of going back to the spread look. Utilizing our speed out on the perimeter and trying to create mismatches on offense. And defensively, I don't think the identity is going to change much. I think that's going to be our mainstay moving forward.
And out of the PFL alumni, what are some of the guys that really stood out? Like, hey, this is a league that I could really take advantage of our dynamic relationship with. You were our all-star coach a couple of years ago.
I was, and it was one of the most fun I've ever had coaching. It was good to work with the young guys again. Our entire team is made up of PFL guys. I don't think it'd be easier to name the guys who aren't PFL alumni than to name the guys who are. And that's the truth. The heart and soul of our team are PFL alumni, and we're very proud of that. We're very, very proud of our affiliation with the PFL. And, it's good to see that these boys come in, they're well coached. They have a passion for the game that started with their experience with the PFL. And, it makes our jobs a lot easier that we have kids that are so dedicated, so passionate about the sport. You could see that was evident when you walked through the weight room and you saw how hard our boys are working. They love the game, they respect the game, and again, they came in knowledgeably. So they're the heart and soul of our team, and then I think that's the way it's going to remain moving on in the future. I can't see it being any other way.
My last question: if you, in your trek to the city championship this year, you need one thing, just one thing that you can guarantee goes right for you this year, what aspect of the game of football do you want to have guaranteed to go right for you this year?
I want to be able to block and tackle. It's really that simple. As much as we complicate the game with scheme, and believe me when I tell you, people will tell you I'm always drawing up something. I'm always, in the lab, mad scientist when it comes to offense, and even defensively with Coach Davis, constantly thinking of different schemes and blitzes and stunts and fronts. It comes down to the basics, blocking and tackling. If we block and we tackle this year, we're going to be successful. Those are the two things that I'm going to emphasize, as long as I'm a coach.
Can't argue with that. Well, thank you for spending some time with us today.
Yes.
We'll let you get back to the daily grind, which is the preseason of Kennedy football. Again, you can make sure you go to pioneer-league.com /Kennedy Knights, and you can check out to see what they're doing, keep up with everything that is football related with Kennedy, and also get a rundown of all of the high schools within Kennedy's campus. We're also going to have a couple of campus visits coming up where we get the kids out here to check out the campus, get them in some classrooms to check out, meet some people on the academic end, and we definitely will bring that to you as well. So for the Pioneer Football League, David Patterson, Coach Tieri, we'll see you next time.